Aroo.
Aroo.
This is Channel Georgia. Please enjoy the yodeling.
Oh, the beautiful sounds. That's the beautiful introduction to Free the Hounds. Talking couch potatoes. I think it's Georgia. Is it Georgia?
Yes, it's Georgia.
Oh, hi, Hannah. How are you?
Good day.
Is that enough of Georgia now? Hello, everyone. Sorry about the trigger warning for greyhounds. Is that Georgia singing, Hannah?
Yes, it's Georgia.
And how do you know Georgia?
Because she's my dog.
Ah, welcome, Hannah. And welcome to Talking Couch Potatoes. This is episode number 5, I believe. Welcome back, everybody. And we have quite an exciting episode, don't you think, Hannah?
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Mel. How are you doing?
I'm well, thank you. How are you?
I'm very good because we have special guests today.
It's going to be fun.
And I'm looking forward to hearing from them. So welcome back, everyone. So we've put out at, what's the email thing again, Mel? Couch Potato, no. Podcast at freethehounds.com.au. All right, I'll get it eventually. Podcast at freethehounds.com.au. You can send in stuff and we'll read it out and we'd love to hear from you. And we've actually got some listener feedback this time, Mel. Adam has just sent us a lovely story. Thank you for getting in touch and sharing your beautiful story about Bonnie and Snagger. Adam says, I think the most beautiful thing with Bonnie and Snagger is the greeting I get when I get home from work. I open the front door to be met by 2 very excited puppy snoots who then run outside, chuck some zoomies, dig up the sandpit, and then demand a walk. The best part of my day.
That's so lovely.
Isn't it lovely?
Yep, sure is.
Zoomies digging up the garden and demanding behaviour. That sounds like greyhounds to me.
Adam actually helps us quite a bit. Volunteers.
He's a volley.
Yes, he is.
Thanks, Adam. We also got an email, Mel, from Claudia in the United States of America. We have a listener in the US.
Yeah, it's great.
We also have a listener in the UK, Ireland, New Zealand, and Indonesia.
That's brilliant.
So we're basically global.
Yes, we are. Absolutely.
So Claudia says, just listen to your very first podcast. Great job. I'm excited for this to grow and bring a greater awareness around these beautiful creatures, as well as bring light to the darkness in which greyhound racing hides some of the ugly side. I live in the US and have 2 rescued hounds, Pepper and Penny. The US has almost eradicated racing. As of this year, there are only 2 racing tracks left, which is less than what we have in WA, isn't it, Mel?
Yeah, we've got 3 here. And I'm talking about Western Australia.
Greyhound racing was alive and well in almost every single state not that long ago. Keep the good fight. Sadly, as long as there is revenue, tracks will continue to operate. I don't know this for a fact, but I think the advocacy for the well-being of the hounds was not the main driver for the closure here in the US. At any rate, keep on fighting. I'm rooting from far away. Best, Claudia, with Pepper and Penny.
That's great.
That's like an optimistic story, isn't it?
It is. It really is. And she's actually right. Sadly, the welfare and the priority of the animal is never looked at. And I think that we're not doing the right thing by these animals, that we're always putting money first.
So thank you so much, Claudia, and I hope you're listening. And please spread the word in your country. Yeah, we will keep the good fight. So I guess we'll move on to our next regular segment. What have we got in the shout-out and promo realm this time, Mel?
Okay, so we're really excited about this one. It's the first time we've been able to get a stall here. It's at the Pride Fair Day, which is at Hyde Park on the 12th of November from 10 a.m. till 6 p.m. I think this is going to be really exciting. It's just wonderful to be part of such a diverse community. I guess sometimes in advocacy you feel like a little bit of an outsider, but then to, be more broadly accepted, we can become something more altogether. It'll be a really optimistic, nice atmosphere, I think.
And you'll have a stall there?
Yeah, and puppy dogs, so greyhounds. We've got some really cute rainbow collars and leads that you can get for your doggies.
It sounds delightful.
And we have our new summer merch, which is a T-shirt with a gorgeous rainbow hound on it. The jammies he's wearing are rainbow.
So come along to Pride Fair Day, Sunday 12th November,
Yep.
Hyde Park.
Brand new at the fair this year. There's nothing else like it at the fair.
All right. Now, this is the saddest part of my, well, for me, the saddest part of our podcast. But it's also one of the most important parts, Mel, where we help people understand the carnage, the damage, the cruelty, the price that these beautiful creatures pay so that we can go and chuck a punt on.
Exactly. So this was, and I'm talking about Western Australia, for the fortnight ending the 5th of October. So it was a pretty grim one. There was 2 dogs killed on track, and they sadly were both injured in the same race. 4 dogs were stood down for 90 days, which is generally like a left or right hock fracture, a bad forelimb fracture. There was 1 dog stood down for 42 days. There was a bunch for other smaller issues, but there was 18 that had no apparent injury, which it's the dog straight after the race being checked by a vet, and there's only 1 vet on track, and could be under pressure because of things like having to euthanize other dogs or look after other dogs that have got fractures. Do the other dogs get vetted correctly? So because if they are picked up as a no apparent injury on the night, then they never get included in the statistics that are published by Racing and Wagering Western Australia. So, and then the scariest one of all for me is the 44 off-track injuries. So that is off the track during training or accidental causes, playing, things like that, but reasons for the having to be scratched.
So this is just the last, how many?
It's 2 weeks.
2 weeks. That's extraordinary.
Yep. And sadly, with those deaths, that took Cannington racetrack to the deadliest track in Australia.
Well done, WA. You've hit a record for cruelty to beautiful creatures.
Really sad, considering the population we have of greyhounds racing compared to the East Coast, that we have the worst track in the country.
So I think it makes it even more important, the work that you are doing, and this podcast we're hoping will spread the word.
Absolutely.
This is not just fun. This isn't a night out. This is death, cruelty, injury to some of the most gentle, beautiful creatures you will ever meet in your life.
I know. And the money that these people get for doing this. So the subsidies paid to trainers was $110,000 in that fortnight.
And can you explain again, Mel, the subsidies? This means...
At the end of the day, it is the money that the gamblers put on these dogs, and the taxes that go from that get put back into racing. So,
but it's used to prop up an industry that has a fairly small base.
Yeah, here in WA especially. So the subsidies are when you put a dog on the track and it runs. Depending on the distance that it runs, the trainer gets payment.
That's right.
For bringing that dog to put it on the track. Because basically, if they didn't do that, there wouldn't be able to be as many dogs because trainers can't afford to keep them.
Right. And you can hear more about that in more detail if you go back and listen to episode 3. Yeah.
Okay, I'll be quick here. So the stake money was almost $740,000 that fortnight, and $45,450 for breeding bonus.
Wow.
Yep, a lot of dough.
So a bonus to make more creatures that we can exploit.
Exactly.
Extraordinary.
Yeah. Or that we have to rehome in the middle of a rehoming crisis. If you heard Tony Donnelly speak last
episode 4.
Yep.
If you want a deeper dive into that, go back and listen to episode 4.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Mel.
No problem.
I mean, I say thanks, but I also say, I'm so sorry that we have to talk about this stuff.
That's right.
We're going to do a little segue into something maybe a little lighter and more fun now.
Yay.
We have a very, very special guest today. She is one of the youngest advocates for Free the Hounds, but not the least committed, not the least passionate, just the least tall, I think. Hi, Hannah. How are you?
Good, thanks.
That's good. Thank you for being here today. I was saying that you're one of the youngest, but you're going to be a year older soon. Is that right?
Yes.
Wow. How old are you going to be?
I'm going to turn 8.
So, Hannah, what grade are you in at school?
I'm in year 2.
And what is your favourite thing to do at school?
Favourite subject is art.
Oh, of course.
Love drawing.
What do you like to draw?
Greyhounds.
Good answer.
Nature.
Yeah?
Mostly those things.
Do you think you'll be an artist when you grow up?
I think I might be an author-illustrator.
Ooh, that's very interesting because that might relate somewhat to what we're going to talk about today. But what I'd like to ask you first is, you're a proud sister of a greyhound. What's her name?
Her name is Georgia.
The one that we heard singing at the beginning.
Yes.
Yes. Can you tell us a little bit about Georgia? What's she like?
She's quite nice to humans, not so much to dogs. Some of her favourite humans are Mum and me.
Of course.
Yep. And she loves eating sardines and chicken nuggets. Oh, yeah, and she loves peanut butter.
So what do you love most about Georgia?
That she loves me and my mum. And
Oh, you love her love?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love my dog's love too. And when did you first meet Georgia? Do you remember?
I think it was August, a day after school, when this big black and white monster came plonking up the back garden.
A big black and white monster. Tell me more, Hannah.
It took her a while to settle in. She's very nice.
Yes.
Sometimes she goes berserk before she has walks. Actually, not sometimes, most of the time.
Yeah, good correction. Yes. Hannah, what I do know about you, because we've just met for the first time, haven't we? I do know that you really advocate and support Free the Hounds. And for one so young, you work very hard to sort of spread the word and be a voice for the voiceless. Did Georgia influence you in that direction?
Sort of. I think it's kind of cruel that they only race this kind of dog and that it hurts them. Why can't they race other types of dogs? I mean, why do they race greyhounds?
That is a very good question. I have asked the same question. How many people race their golden labs?
About 0.0.
Exactly. Thank you, Hannah. What do you think people should know about adopting greyhounds, though? What's the important thing?
That you should have a very big couch. Maybe just get a spare couch for yourself because the greyhound will hog it. Georgie actually takes the entire big 3-seater 2 recliner couch. She can stretch from end to end.
I'm telling you, I lost my couch too. We have a giant big couch. It's a tough life, isn't it?
We lost all the dog beds.
Yeah.
And we've lost one of my toys, which I gave to Georgia.
Right.
And
things that aren't toys become toys, don't they, Hannah?
We totally gave the couch away to her.
Right. So what you're saying, Hannah, if I can summarise, is that greyhounds bring a great amount of love and take a great amount of your space.
Yes.
You're a kid who works hard and you're involved with saving the hounds. But how can other kids like you get involved? What would you recommend?
I guess they could come to events and they could adopt greyhounds. I don't know anyone in my entire school who has a greyhound, although I've seen a greyhound coming to school.
Have you ever taken your greyhound to school?
Yes, she loves going to school. She loves all the kids patting her.
Yeah, they're real sponges for
attention. Yeah.
Yeah, gotcha. So you're the best guest I've ever had, frankly. Sorry, Georgie. I hope Georgie's not listening. You know, we talked to Georgie Purcell.
You've just knocked the queen off her throne.
Yeah. Now, Hannah, this has been just a pleasure, frankly. We might have to have you on again sometime. I have one more question for you, Hannah. Now, do you have a favourite book about, say, a rescued greyhound?
Lily Longnose Finds A Home is my favourite.
Lily Longnose Finds A Home. Do you know anywhere we could find that book?
On my bookshelf.
Do you know the author of the book by any chance?
Yes.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
And what's her name?
Emily Norman.
Emily Norman?
Sitting next to me.
Oh my God, she's sitting right next to you. She is. Hi, Emily.
Hi, Matt. Hi, Hannah. This has been really enjoyable.
And Emily, we have some questions for you, of course. So Lily is an actual greyhound?
She
Yes,
is a real life.
Definitely.
Yeah. Hannah loves her very much.
Mm-hmm.
So we're next door neighbours, Hannah and I. And Lily and Georgia are good friends. Lily's 4 years old, so we've had her for 2 years.
And Georgie's 5. We've had her for about 3 years.
Wow. So they're best buddies, basically.
Pretty much.
What's the story of adopting Lily?
Well, my husband and I, we'd had a nice backyard and a nice home for a little while, and it just felt a bit empty, to be honest. So I figured, let's throw in a new challenge into the mix. And yeah, went looking for a dog and
Did you think of a greyhound initially, or were you just...
yeah, actually, because I wanted to rescue an animal, but I'd had a rescue pet as a young child, and that was a bit problematic. Just health issues because we didn't know what breed she was. So I kind of really liked the idea about rescuing a purebred animal. I thought that was just really cool. And I'd met a couple of greyhounds before that were just absolutely beautiful. So yeah, I went looking. I googled, greyhounds in Perth and came across greyhounds as pets.
Yep.
And yeah, we put in a couple of inquiries for cat-friendly ones, and they called like immediately, which was slightly terrifying, to be honest. And within less than 24 hours, we were meeting Lily, which was a whirlwind experience, but really life-changing. And we took her home that day. So
I want to just pause on that. There's so many people who pay thousands and thousands of dollars for pure breed, and it's a long, drawn-out process, and yet there is this beautiful pure breed that costs a couple of $100, and the process is straightforward if you go through the right people.
And I find it frustrating when we have a rehoming crisis that people go out to breeders and spend $5,000, $6,000, $7,000.
Yeah.
And I've said that money that you're happy to spend on a purebred dog, you should donate that to a rescue as well. When there's so many dogs that need homes, it's just heartbreaking.
And once again, you get a pure breed, you get one of the most sort of domesticatable, lovable, easy to manage, loyal, intelligent.
Couch stealing.
Heart stealing. Yeah, perfect.
House hogging.
House hogging. Good word. See, alliteration. So what was it about Lily that sort of inspired you to want to share that in a book?
It was one of those bucket list things. I've always had that thing that I've just wanted to write a children's book, and I've got a 4-year-old niece, and I got to live with her when she was growing up, around 1 year old, and reading books to her I just thought was so special. And seeing Lily around young children just made me think how special she is. And particularly as well, watching Hannah learn about greyhounds and advocacy and seeing how Hannah interacted with the community when she found things out was really, really interesting. And it just made me think there's a lot of kids' books about greyhounds that tell a nice story about an adopted dog, but do they really tell the truth about what happens in the greyhound racing industry? I think that's a really tricky topic,
right?
And something that I really battled with the editors a lot about this choice of words or this image. And I think it's tricky to find the balance for a kid's book. You don't want to terrify kids,
but we don't want to shield them from necessary truths.
Yeah, and they're really resilient kids. So, yeah, I think seeing what Hannah was like when she really got into that advocacy space was a bit of an inspiration for me to write the book about Lily.
Oh, that's lovely.
I haven't said that to Hannah before. So.
I think all the kids in my class had reasons to not like greyhound racing. They all agree that it wasn't nice for the dogs.
Exactly, yeah. So Hannah's talking about when we went and did a book reading at her school.
What sort of responses have you got from the young people and their parents regarding Lily and the story?
Mixed responses, really. Some kids, it just goes straight over their head, but there's other kids that are a bit more attuned. So I think it depends on the way, a book reading's set up. In those quiet, more intimate settings, they're able to really take note of what's happening in the story. But, I mean, one of the first questions I got at my first book reading was a kid in year 6 who said, so greyhound racing is like slavery then? And I was not prepared at all, but I just had to say, I said to him, what stands out for me is consent. Does a dog get a choice in whether or not they get to race? If they were presented with 2 options, a loving home with a couch and beautiful food and a loving family, or in kennels 23 hours a day and racing, what would that dog choose?
Yeah.
Like, that's common sense.
I think I mentioned in a previous podcast that I've brought that analogy up myself. I do believe it's an extreme analogy, but it's akin to slavery. There is a certain section of society that gets deemed commodities, and we section them off and we use them for our purposes.
And it's frustrating that kids from year 2, in Hannah's age, to year 6 has been the oldest group we've done a reading to. They've all pointed out the same thing.
Right.
You know what the difference is? It's the financial gain. The children don't understand the mighty dollar. There's your answer. That's the only reason that as adults we take a shift on how we think about it.
You spoke earlier before about having to be careful about the words you use and, you know, what you can tell kids and what you can't. It made me think, I've said to Mel before, Dad would take me to the dogs. And it was just indoctrinated in the TV ads, and this is normal. So maybe a part of what you're doing with your book, Emily, is to reverse a bit of that indoctrination, which might look like you're saying things that kids aren't ready for. But I'd argue that I wasn't ready to be told this cruelty is nothing and going to the dogs and having a bet is fun.
Yeah, well, we looked at some of the footage of some of those major incidents recently, and there was kids right in front of where the accidents happened. So I don't know how, as a parent, you can be comfortable with taking your child to possibly witness that. I don't know how parents do it, to be honest.
You're going to donate, or you are donating all of the proceeds, Emily, to Greyhound causes.
Yeah, that's right. Any rescues that want to purchase the book buy it through me at a cost price, which means that they can make a little bit of money off it, hopefully. And then any books that are sold through the website as well, that money gets collected and then sent off to the rescues.
Oh, that's awesome. That's such a great gift to the Free the Hounds community and to animal welfare. What do people do? If they're interested in Lily Longnose Finds a Home, what do they do?
So it's on the Free the Hounds shop at the moment.
freethehounds.com.au.
Yep, that's right. And there's also a number of other dog rescues that have it on their store as well. So in WA, there's also Greyhound Adoptions WA who has it. Great Greys over at East Coast have got it on their website. But if you're international, you can also find it on Amazon.
That's awesome. So if you're listening, go and buy a copy. Even if you don't have kids, buy a copy to give to your friends' kids, or buy a copy because you know it's going to a cause that's worthy. If you've got 2 kids, buy 2 copies.
Absolutely.
I've just got a question about your book.
Yes, Hannah.
How did you even figure out about Lily's past?
Well, you know our good friends here at Free the Hounds, they are really good at finding important information about our dogs. So the amazing work that Mel does, finding out about how many races dogs have done, how they got injured, what their training situation is like, all that sort of stuff was really helpful information for me to learn and find out what actually greyhounds in Australia face in the racing industry. And that's what led me to write the book.
I actually know how many times Georgie's raced.
Yeah, can you tell me?
44.
44 times Georgia raced before you got her. How does that make you feel, Hannah?
Very upset that people even started this. They're so beautiful. Why would you want to race such nice dogs? It'll just ruin their personalities and they won't get to do what they like to do.
Which is?
Which is lying on the couch with their legs in the air farting.
I'd like to thank Hannah for hosting this week's Talking Couch Potatoes. Well said, Hannah. That's also happens to be my favourite thing to do, lying on the couch with my legs in the air farting. Isn't that a coincidence?
There's an image.
Yeah.
Hannah's not, she's shaking her head at me right now.
She's horrified.
Absolutely. She's walked out of the studio. Just one more, Emily, if it's okay. And thank you so much for your time today, and thank you so much for writing this beautiful book. Do you have any plans to continue sharing Lily's adventures or stories in a book?
Oh, that's a big question. Yeah, look, I've got 2 really good ideas to move forward with, but I think I just need to take some time. I mean, we only just finished this one last month, so It's been an exhausting process. It took a lot longer than I thought it would, to be honest.
So this is the world exclusive interview with the author of Lily Longnose.
That's right. So yeah, I've got 2 other ideas for books in the future. For anyone that follows Lily on Instagram, they'd know that she attends the office at work. We're a cancer charity for young people impacted by cancer. And she's had a lot of involvement there in our programs and supporting young people at counselling and all that sort of stuff. I think that would make a beautiful book. And she's a little fashionista as well, so I can imagine a good one about that. So we'll wait and see
And
what the future holds.
What's Lily's Instagram for those who might want to follow?
Lily Longnose. Very simple.
Sorry, Hannah.
Yeah, I forgot. Oh, yeah. I remember the outfit you made for Georgie and me.
That's right. That's what I was actually thinking we'd write the book about. That day that we went to the Free the Hounds fashion show.
Yeah, you came first and I came second.
Yeah, and because we both wore fuzzy jackets matching with the dogs.
I had a rainbow one and Emily had a blue and purple one.
That's right. iconic.
All right, we're going to have to wrap things up. Mel, did you have any questions for Emily or Hannah before we move to the most special part of the podcast?
I just wanted to thank Emily so much for writing this book, and I think it's just so important that the younger generation understand and learn about this. Yeah, I think it's great.
I want to second that 100%, that it took me until I met our producer, actually. Well, you know, growing up, going to the dogs, I had no idea, and I was in my 40s before I woke up. So if we can wake people up when they're this little, if we capture their imaginations, capture their hearts, we can change the future a lot quicker, I believe.
That's
So,
the
yeah.
hope.
My dog's already stolen my heart.
That's what they do, isn't it, Hannah? They steal it.
Gobble it up
Gobble
with
it up.
peanut butter on top.
They start with the couch,
Then your room.
then your
Then
room,
the bed.
then the bed,
Yep, and then your life.
then your life.
And then your life.
But
That's
ha-
actually quite accurate.
That sounds like children.
But the funny
Not
thing
steal
is,
the
Hannah,
couch.
you're happy to give it to them, aren't you? You're happy to give them the couch and the heart and the room. Yeah, that's the funny part. So we're gonna finish off this wonderful, probably one of my favourite podcasts so far, frankly.
Yeah, I have to agree. It's nice to have a really happy, upbeat.
Yeah.
Hannah has set the new bar. Hannah's going to do us a little treat now. Going to read the whole book for us. Take it away, Hannah.
Lily Longnose Finds a Home, written by Emily Norman, illustrated by Katya Gold. When I was a puppy, I was so unlucky. I was taken from my mother. Just one way I'd suffer. We were born to make money for greedy people, but running for your life should never be legal. Naughty Corner was the name I was given, and I lived in a home that was really a prison. I lived alone in a cold, dark shed with no love and no warm bed. They tied me up or made me run, and that was not my idea of fun. I watched other dogs going off to race, hoping it was something I wouldn't have to face. Sometimes I'd come back with a sore head or paw, but sadly we weren't protected by law. And then one day my turn came. The meanest man of all exclaimed, "Run for your life or you'll be in strife." I was scared and it was hot, but I gave it my best shot. People were yelling and it was so overwhelming. But I just wasn't fast, and sadly I came last. I ran 3 more times, but no prize was mine. And then they said I was too slow. "You stupid dog, you have to go." A lovely lady took me away. She said, "I don't want you to be another stray." I was scared to be alone, but she took me with her to stay in her home. She had beds and toys and lots of treats, and I started to think that life could be sweet. But what I wanted most of all was a family to call my own. I waited and waited, and a few weeks passed. And then one day it was my turn at last. The lady said, "Get up on your feet. I've found someone you may like to meet." As we drove and drove a long, long way, I was hoping they'd love this sweet little grey. At last we stopped. I leapt out of the car, hoping to meet my new ma and pa. It was love at first sight. The future suddenly seemed so bright. My new parents exclaimed, "We'll take her." I couldn't wait for them to sign the paper. Now that I am safe and free, I'm getting to know the real me. It didn't take long to find my own chair, where I love to fart with my legs in the air. I really am a gentle hound, with a silly streak that makes me run around. I have a wardrobe full of handmade clothes and a beautiful new name, Lily Longnose.
Good job, Hannah. Thank you.
Welcome.
It's a very beautiful story. I'm not sure how to finish that one, Mel. Maybe you could wrap up for me this time.
Thank you guys so much for listening. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed Lily Longnose by the wonderful Hannah. And we've had a really lovely afternoon having you here. Emily, thank you again so much. And to Matthew, I don't think I've ever heard you be silent before, but it's nice to see you like this. Oh, I have a funny story. I heard about this person that when they first took their dog for a walk and the dog had to do a poop, right? And he was like, "What do I do? How do I get the poo in the bag.
Oh, no.
Now, as most of us know, you just use the bag like a glove, right? You put your hand inside and you...
Yeah, you
Yeah,
pick it up and flip it backwards.
This person didn't really think about doing that. They used the side of their hand and
Maybe this person hadn't grown up with a dog, Mel.
and some dirt to try and push the poop in the bag.
No.
I'm not sure who you're talking about, but maybe this person didn't have a dog when he grew up.
And then there was bins nearby too, but he took the poo home and put it in his bin at home.
That's thoughtful.
Exactly.
So we're going to edit Mel's story out before we do this. Thank you so much. That was so moving. And Hannah, your reading is just beautiful, and that
Thank
book
you.
is beautiful, and I urge everyone to grab it, especially if you have kids. Thank you for everyone. Yeah, I am a bit lost for words for once. I'll just say one thing. Please listen, share, rate, so that we can create a voice for the voiceless and begin to free the hounds.
Hounds.